You're listening to the Casting Shadows podcast. This is RPG A Day 2022. It's early in the morning on August 31st, 2022. The dogs are still asleep. It's possible I'm still asleep. But let's take a look at the last few posts for this year's event, this year's RPG A Day. We start out with Style Sunday. Now, this is a difficult one for an audio broadcast, isn't it? How do we share covers? How do we share dice rolls? Well, let's give it a try. For the tagging portion of Style Sunday, I have sent my tags out by alternate means through social media. There's no way to do that through Anchor, and the question was answered by me quite a while ago, so that part has been done. But I tagged old friends that I haven't talked to for a while, not new friends that I'm gaming with regularly, or RPG people that I'm communicating with online. The rolls that I got were kind of peculiar, so I want to share them. I rolled a D9. I repeatedly rolled it. I decided I would do an average. I kind of have my own little bell curve going on, and so I picked a D9 because I wanted to use a D9 at some point during this event. And it's now or never. So I rolled a D9 and decided I would roll it 5 times and take the average. And my first roll was a 1. And then I rolled a 5. Started to feel a little better. But then I rolled another 1. It's pretty weird, a little disappointing, but okay. Then the fourth roll was a 5. So this is taking the whole dice are random thing in a direction I don't normally like to go. So then came the fifth roll, which was a 9, which ended up giving me an average of 4.2, which, embracing the positivity of RPG A Day 2022, I rounded up to 5. So I could have just taken the average anyway, which is a lesson that's fun to learn and relearn over and over and over again down through the years, but unusual dice results regardless. So with that tagging part out of the way, tagging old friends and sending them this cool cover, let's move on to the next challenge of an audio broadcast, which is describing a cover. Now we can cheat. I can send you to my blog at castingshadowsblog.com, and you can take a look at day 28 called Style, and you'll be able to see the cover posted. You'll also be able to see images of the dice that I rolled. But we're not going to cheat. We could cheat even harder, and I could send you to YouTube at youtube.com/runeslinger, and you could see video of the dice rolling, and you can see a larger, well, maybe not larger, it depends on your device, but you see another version of the my sharing of the cover. But let's talk about the cover. The reason I chose this particular cover is, 1, I really like it, and 2, I wanted to choose based on a game where I felt the awesomeness of the cover was matched by the awesomeness of the contents, which is not always the case. Sometimes, especially with the games that I go for, I find the awesomeness of the contents far exceeds the awesomeness of the cover. Here, it was a wonderful match. So this is a product by Triple Ace Games, which will probably surprise no one. It's for Ubiquity, which will surprise even fewer people than no one. And the color is a very, very dark green. There's a green strip at the top and the bottom that are very reminiscent of wall designs in Victorian homes. Right? So the paneling for the baseboard, the high paneling for the baseboard, it puts you in mind of that, and the metal. I'm not sure what exactly they call that. The metal roofing which curls down over the top corners where the ceiling meets the walls. It puts you in mind of that, and there's a gold strip that separates the image from those bands. Then we have the logo for the game line in particular, which includes the Elder Sign, because this is Leagues of Cthulhu, and it comes across as a brass and wood label, perhaps for a traveling case, or maybe the entrance to a restricted and exclusive league. On the bottom portion of the game, we have the formal logo for Ubiquity. And in those bands, those dark green bands at top and bottom with their golden trim, there is not a faint, but not explicit or overt impression of tentacles. Okay. What is the image itself? The image is of some damp cave, not dark. It's the mouth of the cave, and it is behind a waterfall. Half of the image on the right side is the uneven, irregular hole where we can see through the water plummeting down from above. And from above, there is bright white sunlight. We can't see the sun, we can't see the sky, but we can see the sunlight raining down with the water of the waterfall. And it is splashing over an immense statue of a crouching, strange, winged being with long, spindly arms, coiled, spindly legs, immense claws, too many eyes, and long, dangling tentacles on the face. The coiled menace of the stone figure is evident, and it is enhanced with swirling structures blended into the stone base on which it perches and across the surface of its skin. There's also the intimations of things like scales and unusual articulations and webbings between the long clawed fingers. It's in a gray stone with a hint of some sort of slime or mold growing upon it, and the plinth from which it rises is in water. We're not sure how deep that water is, but we can see the sunlight playing across the surface, and we can see the ripples caused by the water as it comes down from above the waterfall. On the left side of the image, there is the intimation of worn and ancient stairs rising also up to the left to some sort of entrance to this area. So the statue is hidden in a stone area open to the sky but closed to the world. And two brave people are making their way up the stairs in the light of a torch. So the light on the right side, the sunlight, is pure white, and the light on the left side is the orange warm glow cast by fire. And the two people making their way up the stairs can't take their eyes off the statue as they look at it through the waterfall. And they look very, very small, yet somehow determined despite their fear. And this is the cover, as best as I can describe it, of Leagues of Cthulhu, the supplement for Leagues of Gothic Horror, which in itself is a supplement for Leagues of Adventure, the main game line using Ubiquity from Triple Ace Games. Probably my favorite. Day 29 is our last who question. And it asks us, who would we like to see participate in RPG-A-Day? And, you know, there's been some discussion as we went through this event about the effect of tagging, of calling people out. Some people take it as fun. Some people feel included. It's like, yeah, that's something I can do. And other people feel pressured and put upon. We don't want that latter one. So keep in mind that anyone that I would recommend, they're under no obligation. They're under no compulsion or compunction to comply. It's just, wow, it'd be really cool to hear your answers. You know, whether or not those answers are shared publicly and formally through their media outlets or, just in a regular everyday chat. I'd like to know. Could be this year. There's a couple of hours left. And as Rob from Down in a Heap has proven, you can do the answers in 30 minutes or less. So there's still time. It's still not too late to participate in RPG-A-Day 2022. But maybe for next year, for the 10th anniversary, the idea was maybe we could invite more people in, and people in particular that we haven't had participate before, that we'd really like to hear what they have to say in this kind of event. So it's better for everybody. They have the fun of knowing people really want to hear what they have to say. We have the fun of hearing them say it, and more people participate, which increases the value for everybody. So, who did I select? Well, I stayed within the circle of, firelight that is the friendship of our RPG community, and I selected one of my friends who had not participated before, one of the people I've started gaming with recently, who I have poked a few times and prodded and didn't actually nag, but we're about one step away from nagging. And so I have chosen Craig Shipman of Third Floor Wars to kindly consider my suggestion that participating in RPG-A-Day, either 2022 or 2023, would be really nice. And I hope it would be something he would enjoy. Okay. Our last what question for the event is, what should we do for our 10th anniversary? And because I'm on the inside of that question, I'm the one asking the question, and will be working with all the responses that come in. It's one of those questions I wonder if I should answer. So I will say that we are definitely working on a way to unite the major threads of preference among the respondents, meaning we want to be able to provide the single word prompt experience, and we also want to be able to provide the guided question or the specific question response, with the understanding that improvisation from either is not only expected but encouraged. We don't want people to feel in a box, even though the RPG-A-Day infographic looks like a box. One of the things that we have done throughout the entire event, from its starting point until now, is bring back certain questions which people really enjoyed. So there is a sense of continuity that this is a classic RPG-A-Day question. So one of the things that we are considering is how exactly to bring in some of those older classic questions, but in a new and more relevant way to 10 years later, or however many years since that classic question first appeared in the lineup. And there have been fun things that we've done, different themes, different approaches, and there have been things like the underground complex version of the map, and the hex travel map, and there's a bunch of different things. We've had guest respondents come in and have their responses organized at a central location. So you you have all of your friends and you have the hashtag to use to find other people's responses, but you can also make your way to autocratic.com or castingshadowsblog.com and see video responses from game designers and things like that, with the things that influence them or the things that speak to them on this particular RPG a day, which hopefully would help us understand them and their writing in their games a little better, and help deepen understanding and communication through the text to the game players. So these things are very much in our minds, but really the goal is to make it as engaging yet new, because that's another tradition of RPG a Day, is that each year it's a little different, right? The type of question is different, the direction of the questions, the theme, or even the way that the prompts are delivered changes a little bit. It doesn't really feel like 10 years, but then again, we all have the records to show the journey through years of time of RPG a Day, and how our tastes have stayed the same, or our tastes have changed and developed or expanded, or new people have come into our groups, or sadly, that people have left them. So hopefully, with everyone's help, we can make this 10th anniversary fun, cool, and the biggest yet. All right, this is it. This is the end. This is the last prompt for RPG a Day 2022 for me. This is day 31. This is August 31st, which is today as I record. And it's the last when question. And it's, when did you first take part in RPG a Day? It seems like such a simple question, but it's funny to think back, like, when did I start? I started in the first year, so you'd think that that would be easier. But anyway, 10 years, but it's been 9 years, right? So I began late in the run of the first year. I encountered it on Facebook. One of the RPG writers and producers that at that time I admired greatly, and now I admire even more. I'm talking about Paul Wade Williams, affectionately known as Wiggy, the creative director of Triple Ace Games. I saw his posts in response to the first RPG a Day, and I said, yeah, this is really cool. I'm going to take part. So I didn't get to do the whole thing, but I participated through to the end of that one. And then the next year, I started from the beginning. And the year after that, I got involved, behind the scenes of RPG a Day. And the rest, as they say, is history. So I've been involved not from the beginning, but from near the beginning. I could see the beginning from where I was standing. Not that it really matters. And through all of that time, despite old questions coming back, and despite it being the same basic format of, here's 31 questions about role-playing games, can you answer them and be positive? Despite all of that, it has never really seemed all that, repetitive to me, and I've been fortunate that it hasn't ever felt like a burden, although at times it has been a scheduling challenge. So anyway, when did I first take part in RPG a Day? Long, long ago. And that, as they say, is that. That singing I hear must be from the woman of unnatural size in the Fire Swamp. Well, RPG a Day 2022 is over. I want to thank everyone who listened for doing so. I want to particularly thank those who listened and commented for doing so. That made things far more fun and engaging. If you're listening to this and I never found your episodes or came across your channel, please let me know, and I will be happy to navigate there and listen to what you've produced. That's one of the reasons why I do this. All right. There will probably be some kind of after the event post somewhere, and if there is, I'll talk about that later. But for now, the dogs are waking up. It's time to let them go outside and give them their breakfast and start the day. The last day of RPG A Day 2022. And I hope it finds you all very, very well. You've been listening to an episode of the Casting Shadows podcast, an extension of the Casting Shadows blog, found at castingshadowsblog.com. By, well, me, and I guess I'm better known as Runeslinger. You can find me on YouTube more often than not at youtube.com/Runeslinger. Why would you want to do these investigations? Well, pretty much the only thing I talk about there is role-playing games and how to better learn them, how to kind of squeeze out more enjoyment from them, and, of course, from time to time, different games to try and what they do well. So if any of that sounds interesting, please check them out. And if what I have to say connects with you in some way, well, then contact me here or in the other ways provided to do so.